Mr. Speaker, I've never seen such shameful and dishonorable remarks coming from this Prime Minister. My great-grandfather flew over 30 missions over Nazi Germany. My great-great-uncle's body lies at the bottom of the English Channel. There are members of this Conservative caucus who are the descendants of victims of the Holocaust. For the Prime Minister to accuse any colleague in this House of standing with the swastika is shameful. I'm giving the Prime Minister an opportunity. I'm calling on him to unreservedly apologize for this shameful remark.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve their freedoms back. Mr. Speaker, these illegal blockades that have continued to interfere with people's livelihoods, to interfere with people's daily lives,
I have to interrupt the Honourable Prime Minister, so ask everyone to calm down so we can hear the answer. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the measures put forward in this Emergencies Act are proportional, are responsible, and quite frankly, are completely folded within the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. The steps that we are taking are important and measured to restore order and freedoms to Canadians in this country. That is exactly what we are doing.
Well, member for Sturgeon River, Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, the lack of an apology from that Prime Minister speaks volumes. I have given this Prime Minister an opportunity to retract a shameful remark where he would accuse any honourable member of this House to stand with a swastika. As I said before, we have colleagues who are the descendants of victims of the Holocaust. I'm giving the Prime Minister one more chance. Will he apologize to all members of this House?
That's the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the members of the Conservative Party are calling to us to take more action over the past 2 weeks on this. They continued to stand with and encourage these illegal blockades. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are watching carefully and see exactly where the Conservative politicians who've stood with those blockades are standing. We will stand on the side of Canadians who deserve their lives back, who deserve their livelihoods back.
Member for Sturgeon River, Parkland.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. I didn't write these out. But the fact is, I don't know how any member of the government caucus can stand by this Prime Minister when he accuses honourable members of this House of standing with a swastika. I'm calling on all members of the Liberal caucus to denounce the Prime Minister. I have given him 2 chances to apologize. He has refused to apologize. Mr. Prime Minister, apologize.
Once again, I want to remind the honourable members, I know this is getting emotional, but place your questions through the Speaker, not directly to each other. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. These illegal blockades have been going on in Ottawa for 20 days now. People have been interrupted in their daily lives, have been made to feel fearful, have been made to miss shifts at their work across southern Ontario. These are things that cannot be stood for, which is why we're moving forward with a responsible set of measures to allow the local police jurisdiction to do their jobs. We continue to defend freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, as long as it's peaceful and legal, Mr. Speaker.
Some people, the extraordinary celebration that today we had over the weekend, in which I apologize.
Speaker, I am a strong Jewish woman and a member of this House and a descendant of Holocaust survivors, and I have never it's never been singled out, and I have never been made to feel less, except for today when the Prime Minister accused me of standing with swastikas. I think he owes me an apology. I'd like an apology, and I think he owes an apology to all members of this House.
I want to encourage all members to be as judicious as possible when using words in this chamber and to reflect on what they say. The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to carry on with the point that was made by my colleague from Thornhill. You'll know, Mr. Speaker, that when comments made in the House are so injurious, so insulting, and so unparliamentary, they rise to the level of a question of privilege, Mr. Speaker. And as you know, you have the ability to rule on that immediately. What the Prime Minister did, I won't even go into the hypocrisy of the man who did blackface so often he can't remember it, accusing somebody else of doing anything remotely racist. But his comments made to a Jewish member of this House are beyond unparliamentary. They are reprehensible, and I would ask that you rule that this rises to the level of a question of privilege, and I am prepared to move the appropriate motion, Mr. Speaker.
I will take that under advisement and return to the House should I see fit. We have someone else who has a point of order as well. The same point. Okay, we'll carry on. The Honourable Minister for... I'm sorry, I was going to say families, yes.
Emotions are obviously running very high right now, and I think it's incumbent on all of us to take a step back and reflect on what the values of this House are. I am also a proud Jewish woman who is the descendant of Holocaust survivors, and my family found refuge and support and a life in this country. And Mr. Speaker, we must listen to each other, and we must assure that no one in this House is standing with those who support white supremacy, who support Nazi views, who look to contribute and enable racist views. And Mr. Speaker, I would ask that all of us in this House use our words judiciously, including the member opposite who just yelled out something completely inappropriate, because all of us have reason to be here, and I would call on the members opposite not to stand with those who are sharing those views, because how does it feel as a person in this House seeing colleagues taking pictures with people who are looking to overthrow the government? That's what I ask those colleagues to do.
Ships were backed up in ports and trains were stopped. The Prime Minister didn't stop them. In fact, he actually sent a government delegation to meet with them. But now that the protests are about something that he disagrees with, he uses inflammatory language, hurls personal attacks, and makes a massive power grab. We know the PM finds democracy inconvenient and that he admires China's dictatorship. So will the Prime Minister admit that this is all just a move to crack down on dissent?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would advise the honourable member to be careful in that line of questioning before people actually look into what he and his fellow Conservative Party members said.
Dictator.
I want to remind the honourable members that shouting names at each other is not the way this place works. No. Before you start clapping, start looking at your own benches.